edition of Life and Law. It is Wednesday, and I'm here. My name is Eugene. I'm an attorney, but I use this platform to talk about you, talk about your life and the law. So let's get after it. I've done a lot of stuff, guys. My background is in my bio, so you can take a look at it. You can. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you can hear me on the YT and the TT and the FB. If you are looking in on me from the Tube channel, thank you, party lights. Yeah. If you're looking in on me from the Tube, let me know. And if you're looking at me on FB, holler at me. Um, and we'll get going today. When the guys, what's up, Alexandra, for the mic check and the and the video check? Yeah. It's easier for me to do my, far as the camera angles. I was fussing about that a little earlier on the other platform. Yeah, getting these camera angles up is a trick sometimes. So, and it takes a while. Um, so I appreciate the feedback. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Got Let's go, guys. Let's share. This is your program. That was coming from me, Alexandra, on the YT. Guys, let's go. It's Wednesday. I don't even know the date. I go most of my days without knowing the date. I usually know the day, but the date, generally not. It's sometime in April. It's like April 27th, maybe 28th. Oh, today's the 29th, right? Somebody tell me. 29, guys. Thank you very much. All right, Alexandra, I appreciate you. She is soldiered over on the other side. Okay, so someone in the comment says they loaned their someone in the comment says they loaned their daughter's boyfriend, or they loaned somebody some money. Their daughter's ex-boyfriend or their daughter's boyfriend's brother or something. She loaned somebody some money, 20,000. And I'm guessing the rest of that question would be they haven't paid her back. And so how do you get your money back? I think that's going to be the question. Although I haven't heard the full question, but I can usually tell the way a question starts out. On some of these on some of these platforms, you can't ask a good full question. On YT and FB, if you follow me over there, you'll be able to answer a good full question. TT doesn't allow you enough space to ask a good, solid question. So if the question is, what do you do if you give somebody a fair amount of money and you want it back? Unless you have some type of contract, you've made it more difficult for yourself to pick up that money to get it back. If you don't have a contract, they're probably going to claim, if you sued them and you don't have a written contract, they're probably going to claim that it was a gift. And if they do that, then of course you're screwed. You're screwed. Listen, first off, don't loan anybody money like that. If they're not directly related to you, and what I mean directly related to you, if they're not related to you to the degree that you can exert a certain amount of pressure on them for not paying you, if they are not, if you don't have that type of situation with the person that you're loaning money to, don't do it. Don't do it. You will almost always be disappointed. and it's gonna be a big pain in your hiney to get that money back. Share is in the comments. Thank you, Share. Yeah, so it's a bad thing to do is to loan people money, even people that are related to you. So this is my thing. This is some mental gymnastics here I'm going to ask you to do. Whenever you get ready to loan somebody money, whenever you get ready to Jesus is in the chat again, or is it Jesus? I'm gonna call you Jesus because that's what it says in my earphones. Guys, I'm visually impaired and the comments come through my headphones. So if I mispronounce your name, it's because it sounds funny in my ears. So get back to the loaning thing, loaning money. This is the mental thing that I do. If someone asks me to loan them some money, I have there that's it, Alexandra. I consider it gone. And this is what I'll tell somebody. I'll say, listen, I'll give it to you. I would like you to pay me back. And if you don't worry. It's all on you. I throw the moral card and throw it back on the person and hopefully appeal to their sense of fairness. Um, but even if you ask me for $5 and I give you $5 and you don't give it back, the next time you come ask me for money, it's going to be a solid no, because I don't carry that around in my head. I I don't carry that around. Pardon me, guys. I don't carry that around when I loan money. I consider it gone. If I can't be comfortable with that money gone, I ain't going to give it. If I have to obsess over it and worry about it, are they going to pay me back? They said they would. I don't I don't like that. I won't live that way. I've never lived that way, even when it comes to my kids, and I give my kids money if they ask if I have it. I I there was one thing I was gonna borrow some money from the bank and help out one of my kids, and the bank asked me to do one thing. What I did is I put the money, uh, one of my children that wanted to borrow the money, they told me to put up a CD in that amount, let my daughter get a loan in her name, and that CD stand good for it. And I thought that was a wonderful idea to do it. That's a good way to do it because the bank is secured and you're giving the money. Like I was giving it away, but my daughter paid me back. You know, she paid it. She paid the loan. Once she paid the loan from the bank, I could then get the money from the bank, which is a really good way to do that. It's a little more complicated, and your child has to have the ability to get a loan. But with security there, with that kind of security up, it shouldn't be a no-brainer. I learned something. That was a good idea. But you never give money. You want it back. If you loan somebody money, obviously you want it back, but you might not get it back. That's why you never co-sign. You never co-sign a loan for anybody. You just don't do it. It's a bad idea. It's just like loaning them money. And I have hardly ever seen a situation, particularly if it's a young person. Young people are inherently irresponsible, and I'm sorry if you're a young person. I'm not trying to throw shade on you. Oh, Alexandria. Yes. When I did bankruptcies and stuff, and I still get that, people co-sign for a boyfriend's car. See a lot of dudes who are uh, in Appalachia, and I'm going to go about my Appalachia thing. We got a problem with a lot of young men aren't worth shit. A lot of our young men in this area are not good. They don't work. They're lazy. They sit in the house and they game all the time. And I've seen a lot of these ladies who get up and they work, they got a good work ethic, and they get tangled up with some hairy-legged fella, and the first thing you know is they've borrowed money to get them a car. and then that never works out. Particularly young people, they're unsettled. A lot of them aren't working steady. You never know where they're gonna be. And if you co-sign a car for someone that's young, I have never, well, I won't say never. I've never seen it work out. Does it work out? Yeah, but I've never seen it work out. And I've been doing this, I've been practicing law 26 years. So, co-signing, when you co-sign, you have to assume, again, this is kind of a mental exercise. You have to put yourself in a position, if you co-sign, you got to swallow real deep, real big, and you got to, in your brain, believe that that's going to be your debt. If you're not willing to assume that that's your debt, you're going to be really disappointed. It's going to cause a big rift between family. And I've seen a lot of people will give someone money to help them out with in a tough spot, and this is tough. You give somebody 4 or $5,000 to do something that that person tells you is very important, and then next week they're going on a vacation. Some people, that eats them up. If you're the one that gives that person money and you see them on Facebook going out, celebrating a vacation or a big fancy dinner, that's gonna bother you. You can't, when you give money to somebody, leave it alone. If they use it for the purpose which you gave it, good. If they don't, tough crap. That happens a lot, you know? Um, so I'm putting a Band-Aid on my finger. Um, every now and then I get skin cancer. Well, I get it a lot, and I had spot moved off of my finger, and it has blistered up. They froze it. They hit you with that little liquid, not whatever it is, that liquid nitrogen, I think it is, whatever it is. It's the freezer. So money is one of those complicated issues, boy. It'll tear a family apart. It will tear you apart. And I don't like to talk money. I don't like to do it. Um, if I give somebody money now, and sometimes it's as a lawyer, you know, you got lawyers have fee structures. Most lawyers will do contingency fees if it's a personal injury, like a car wreck. I do a contingency fee. I'm one of the few lawyers that only get 20% on a car wreck. I just do 20%. But I, on my hourly fees, I get enough money up front to where if a client doesn't pay, I, I'll answer that in a second, Alexandra, in just a second. The, oh crap, what was I talking about? I was trying to pay attention to the chat over there. Son of a bitch. I'll get to it in a minute. And I just cussed. I'm not sure what the rules at YouTube, if they like it occurs. So I'll go without. Oh, thank you, Ricky. Ricky, and I can always count on my viewers to cue me in. So as an attorney, my retainer, I get enough money up front if it's an hourly fee kind of thing. If it's a retainer, I get enough. If it's a criminal case or a family law case, I get enough money up front that if they don't pay me on the back end, I'm not fretting over it. And if they do pay me, it's kind of like found money. And I treat it like found money, but I get enough up front, more than enough up front to where I'm not fussing over it. I don't obsess over it. I don't have to send a bill, but I do. I always send a bill for the remainder. But again, if someone doesn't pay me the remainder and they come back and want me to do more work, I won't do it. So someone in Alexandra in the YouTube and the tubes has asked, if you do loan money to somebody, is it okay to get Chat GPT to draw up a contract? Yeah, those AI generated um, software programs um, are pretty good at stuff like that, but you have to know what to tell it. You need to say something like, build me a loan contract or a personal services contract in accordance with the laws of blah, whatever, wherever you live, in accordance with the state laws of Kentucky. Build me a personal services contract or a loan contract. And so you do it that way. And you don't want it really long. You contract, I would probably confine it to 2 pages, 3 pages. Those kind of contracts don't need to be very long if you're loaning somebody money. But again, the contract is, guys, contracts are just a piece of paper. It's only as good as the person that signs on the dotted line. Now, you have enforcement, a better enforcement vehicle. A contract is just a way to get you into court and prove your case. But at the end of the day, if that person don't have a pot to piss in, you know what you're going to get at the end of the day? You're going to get the pot. You won't even get the pot if that's all they got. Most of the time, if they're asking you for money, they ain't got no money. If they're asking you for money, they can't get a loan. If they're asking you for money, they probably couldn't withstand the rigors of a credit check. So there's a lot of things when people ask you that stuff that you need to kind of process real quickly. Why are they asking me? Well, the answer to that is they ain't getting it from nobody else. And so a contract is good. It's better than nothing. And those AI generated programs can do probably a fair job, but you have to make sure that it conforms with your state. So you have to be careful. These AI generated softwares and platforms, they're good, but you've got to know how to ask the questions, how to put the information in. So that's the problem. I would not do a chat GPT or an AI generated software program for a will or a trust. I just wouldn't do it because that platform is not going to show up for you in court. They're not going to be there for you if something goes wrong 20 years from now. So, in fact, we're getting ready today. We're getting ready today. Someone in the chat there on my TT, see if we're still good. I got another daggone kind of warning flash. I have no idea what it is. So somebody, well, no, Richard, it's it's a little more than that. You probably know this though. It's you have to have the right things in there. Maybe that's the same thing, but thank you, Kitty. I just keep getting these. I don't know if it's someone making comments or if it's me. I I have monitored my speech on these platforms so much, I feel like I can't say anything really. So I've really tried to filter what I say here because I like what I do. I don't want to get deplatformed. Diane asked, "What is the best way to leave a house to your kids?" There's a lot of different ways. First off, and this is my cardinal rule, sometimes your kids don't want your house. That's the reality. That's the thing you're gonna have to come to terms with as a parent. It's really neat to think that my kid wants my stuff. My kid would love to have my kids would love to have my house. Oh, it'd be so nice if I could buy this property and buy this house and one day leave it to my kids. I'm collecting all this stuff all along the way because my kids are going to want it. Listen, come to terms with this. Your kids most likely don't want your stuff. If they can't turn it into money, the cold hard fact is they probably don't want it. Now, they're more likely to want your little trinkets, like your pictures. Like I've got this Cincinnati Reds picture over here. I've got some little tiny trinkets that mean a lot to me that my kids might want. I don't have a lot of them, but are they going to, and maybe a truck or a car, maybe they might want that, but they'll want it. They probably ain't going to sell it, but they might. If they got good cars, they just sell it. And that's okay with me. But as far as your house goes, so let's zero in on that house. When you decide two things about your kids, they probably don't want your stuff. And if it's when it comes to a house, they're probably not responsible enough to handle a house. You got to factor all that in. If you love your house, if you've worked your hiney off and you have taken this home and you have remodeled it and you've done everything you need to do to make this place wonderful and it has collected a lot of value. But now, if you've got a child who is not responsible and they have proven to you time and time again that they are not responsible, the worst thing you can do is give them a house that you care for because they ain't taking care of it. And I don't care what they tell you about what they're going to do in the future. The best predictor of past behavior, or the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. So if you have a child that isn't responsible, they're not going to take care of that house. So if the purpose of you leaving a house to a child is to let that house live on and be respected and have it kind of a landmark for your all's home and your lineage, your legacy. If you want that house to be your legacy, it's a better word. Don't give it to a kid that is still wet behind the ears. What's up, Lindsay, in the chat? Thank you. So just don't do it. If you've got more than one child, you're going to have to pick. And the bigger thing is not only they're irresponsible, but let's look at the second big part about giving your home, and then I'll answer I'll get right direct to the question about giving your home to a child. You're giving your child debt. When you give them a home, you're giving them debt. You're giving them a house payment, maybe. Even if the house is paid off, let's assume the house is paid off. You're giving them a water bill, electric bill, insurance payment, maintenance payments, taxes every year. All of that, you are giving that child debt. I'm not a fan of it. And most likely your kids are gone. They've moved on. They don't want to come back to your home. That's why they left. They left your home because they don't want to be there. Now, you being gone might help them coming back. Let's be honest. If you're out of the picture, they might want to come back home. But you're giving them debt at the end of the day. So my thought is so so I would recommend, and someone in the YouTube is giving me some grief. It's just a home. Thank you, Joseph. So the issue is I would sell it, divide the money. Sell it, divide the money. That's the best way to do it. If you've got a piece of property and it has accumulated for all those reasons, first off, you're giving a child debt, you're giving them lifelong debt, and just sell it, divide. A trust isn't magic. Everybody always says that. Put it in a trust. No, a trust isn't magic. Someone has to keep that house up. That trust, unless you've got several millions of dollars, not keeping up that house. Someone has to keep up the home. So to say put it in a trust seems like magic. Oh, I've done it. I put it in a trust. No, You can put it in a trust, but have the trustee sell it, or you can put it in a will and have someone sell it. It's the same thing. What's up, Denise from FB? I appreciate you with the chat. Thank you very, very much, Denise. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Guys, let's share these screens out now on all these social media platforms, wherever you're at. Let's uh let's share that screen. Lindsay in the chat wants to know. And I sometimes this question when I get it, and I'm not throwing shade on your question, Lindsay, but when I get it, it just always makes me laugh. Would I go after State Farm? Sure I would, but I'd have to know why. I'd have to know. I mean, this ain't the time to do that. Going after State Farm isn't one of those scary things. Now, a lot of insurance um State Farm, you've got these, bad faith claims or is usually the typical claim for an against an insurance company is a bad faith. If you had some kind of claim, a valid claim, and they dragged their feet and it caused you all kinds of problems, there are situations where insurance companies have actually had to pay a lot of money for bad faith. Now, someone in the YouTube, I love it. This user, they love. Apparently, they like me a lot because they come on and they they're trying to bust my ball. The user says, "Yet you're leaving your kid a home. Hypocrisy much?" No, user, let me explain to you. I already talked to them, and you got to have that conversation with the kid. And again, I said, if you've got a responsible child, and if they already don't have a, you got to listen, user. You got to get the crap out of your ears. You gotta get the crap out of your ears there, user. I said most of the time they're not responsible. I am giving a child my home here because 'cause they're responsible. Yeah, user, come on, get it out of your ears. Come on, baby. Get with the program. No, and you gotta evaluate that. That's, yeah, come on, man. That's something everybody has to evaluate for themselves. Um, again, I'm not an advocate of it. I don't particularly think it's a good idea. But in this situation, when it comes to me, all of my other kids got homes. They all got homes. They all done well. My other one's young. She's doing well, but she has told me she would like to have this. And by God, we're going to give it to her. She understands how it works. And this is a very low maintenance home. We've done a lot of stuff to it already. We put a new roof on it. We've put new windows in it. We've done a lot for this house. You don't really have to do. There in the next 15 years, there ain't a lot going to be have to be done to this home. So, and it's a great piece of property, and all the kids were raised here. So there you go, user. If you get the shit out of your ears, you'd have heard that. No, and it's not an absolute ban. I'm just saying it's not a good idea. But you gotta know your kids. My kids all got homes except for one. So, pardon me. That's it, baby. Good questions, though. Thank you, guys. And I am gonna eat me another piece of toast. Guys, this program is for you. Follow me, guys. Send this out to your friends and let's talk a little bit. Let's talk about you, your life, and the law. Yeah, that's it. Female Magnum PI in the house. Guys, if you're looking in on me from FB, thank you very much. If you've got a question, guys, what I do on my platform, on Wednesdays, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I try to get here between 8 and 10. And we might go a little longer today, but usually I try to keep my YT and my FB down to an hour. If you're looking at a podcast or a YouTube video, an hour is about as long as most people will stay on a podcast. So this will be up here on my podcast, um, on my YouTube channel. I'm trying to figure out how to upload these things to Spotify. I do have a really nice Spotify account. I've probably got 20 or 30 videos up or recordings, and all of my stuff is on YT. I think FB warehouses them, but I never look at my Facebook as a way to warehouse my stuff. So I don't really edit much. So when you go onto my YouTube channel and you see my videos, there's not much editing there. So you can tell your friends. That's why I want to have good conversation, because if people are looking at this on the YT, I want the whole time to be filled. So I do appreciate questions. Good question, Angie. Angie, I'm taking my well, guys, when you see me take my headphones off, I am visually impaired. So I have these headphones. Comments come to me through a Bluetooth device and a third party platform, and I'm able to hear the comments. I can't see them. So when they scroll through here, I can't see them. So the question is, Angie in the chat, if I'm going to approve AI. I don't know what that comment is, Alexandra. Part of it came off. But anyway, so Angie in the comments says that she's living in her home. Her daddy remarried, but her daddy tells her that she can get the house. She's going to have the house. Now, this happens a lot, particularly when your mother or father remarries and they get involved with a whole nother family union. If your father specifically told you you can have the home, then I would encourage you to have your father put your name on the deed, and he can retain what is called a life estate. Have him draw up another deed, give the property to you, but he can retain a life estate. That means he can have it for the duration of his life, and you get it when he passes away. That's probably the best way. If you put it in a will, that's also another way. If you really want to lock down the interest that you have in that home, make him do another deed, or what's don't make him, ask him. Ask him to do another deed. He can retain an interest in that home, but you can get it immediately upon his passing. That's the way that I would do it. Good question. That is a good question. Love it. Love it. You're welcome, Angie. Guys, look at my mug. You see my mug over here? Look at my mug. Oh, I always forget which way I'm pointing. Right there, up there, up there, up there. I have a merchandise page. Got my mug. Are you shitting me? I got 4 or 5 other slogans that look really nice on it. I have a lot of people who get my sweatshirts and my hoodies, a couple of people that ride bikes. I've got a slogan that says, um, "You have a Fifth Amendment right to shut the hell up." I have one that the ladies seem to like that says, "You can't touch this without a warrant. Can't touch it without a warrant." And I've got some that's red, white, and blue just in time for our 250th anniversary, guys. Our celebration of this great country. Questions, fellas? There's nothing that's really off topic here today. Nothing. I don't generally get into politics, although I do comment from time to time. Somebody asks me on current affairs, but I don't generally get political. I will tell you, though, I'm a libertarian. I'm more on the conservative side, probably, if you had to guess. But there's a lot of things that I believe in that an old school liberal believes in. So I suspect I'm more of a libertarian than anything. Guys, this would be an awful boring show if I'm just sitting here chewing on my toast. Thank you for the question there. Appreciate it. In the chat, Alexandra's asking me, what are my thoughts about getting rid of the insane asylums? It's the worst thing we ever did. I am getting comments, Eli. What are my comments on insane asylums? Um, which by the way, if you're over here on YT or FB, um, those comments do not bleed over on your screen. If you're looking at me on YT or FB, the TT comments don't come through for some reason. I'm not sure what. Yeah, from TT they don't. So what is my back to the question, and thanks for the question. Um, I think because I am 64, I'll be 65 on my birthday in October. You can send gifts if you want. I got out of college with a degree in psychology. At the time in 1984, when they were transitioning people out of the mental health, long term mental health facilities into these, what they call the community based mental health facilities, mental health clinics. It's the worst thing that ever happened. You can chart the rise in homelessness with the deconstruction of the long term mental health facilities. And the thought was at the time, and you'll hear people say this now, you can't just lock those people up. It's inhumane. Well, I will ask you, anybody that says that, I would ask you, what is more humane? Make them a ward of the state and put them in a place where they're going to get fed, they're going to get medicated, and they're going to get some socialization. What is more humane, that or let them live under a bridge or in some scummy homeless shelter where they don't get treated right? Which one of those two is more humane? So when people first, there was a couple of exposés that came about in the late 60s and early 70s, and it showed the most horrible conditions in some of these mental health facilities. and that sparked a lot of sentiment. And anytime there's a knee jerk, you see it today. Whenever there's a knee jerk reaction to some kind of hot topic and the legislation is passed because of that horrible thing, it always leads to a bad outcome. It always leads to a bad outcome. And so I personally believe the most humane thing to do is put them in a situation where they're cared for, where they can eat properly, where they can get treated for their mental illness or maybe their addiction issues, and then have for them a transition period out. I'm not saying someone in the comments said the best thing is freedom. You know how many homeless people die because of exposure, because of substance use? A lot. It's a horrible thing. So it is more humane, I believe, to put them in a facility until they can fix themselves and get the help they need, but have a pathway out to where that person can transition into a job, into a home, because the homeless shelters ain't getting it. That should be what happens in a homeless shelter, but it doesn't happen. You got to confine these people for a period of time until they get their medications regulated, until they get their feet about them, and then let them get out if that's what they want to do. But the reason someone is under a bridge or living in the gutter or living in an old shack or an old school bus or in a tent, the reason why they're doing that because nobody else cares about them. They don't have any family. So they don't have any family. They don't have anybody that cares. So if that's the situation, put them in a facility, get them off the street. Your crime rates will go down. They will be in a safer place. And maybe after they get their feet about them and they get the attention they need, they can transition away. But until that happens, keep them there. So that's my prescription because I've seen it, both ends of it. But some of our politicians don't have the backbone to stand. Good job, Elizabeth. Elizabeth in the chat sharing the love in the Daytona Beach community. So that's my thoughts on the mental health crisis. We spend so much money on the homeless crisis. If we diverted half of that money in and build some mental health facilities, long-term care, just like you do at the old folks home, just like you do there. Only you'd want a lockdown facility. You'd want a lockdown facility, and I think I think problem is solved. Your homeless problem goes away, crime rates fall, and you save money actually because we're not saving no money. You Thank you. Asmuth, I can't tell the name, but the amount of money that we spend on the homeless, and a lot of it is scam. It's scam money. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't do any good. Take that money away. They shut it down. Jasmine Alfredo. Thank you. Sorry. Jazzman in the chat wants to know if it was working so well, why did it shut down? It was working well, Jazzman. Look around. Look at the homeless population before 1969. You didn't have it. That's the reason. That's the it was working. But what happened was there was some exposés about some of the worst mental health facilities in the country. There's 2 or 3 of them, and everybody gets all up in arms, and you see these damn politicians that can't wait to get in front of a camera and talk about these poor people. Well, we're gonna fix it. We're gonna shut these things down and develop this community mental health facility. Send them back home to their communities and let them get treated. Let them pinky swear that they're gonna follow up. Oh, tell them that you got this great facility in their little community and they can get all the care they need. It never worked. The same thing with a vet. The exact same thing with a vet. The exact same thing, the exact same framework. Um, so when these politicians decided to throw the baby out with the bathwater, instead of clamping down on these bad facilities, they shut them all down. I mean, and look, you can chart the homelessness problem, and it trends with the decision to get rid of the long-term mental health facilities. You get rid of this money that they're giving to a lot of these crappy places for the homeless issue. Look at California as an example. Look at San Francisco. Look at Los Angeles. Look at all of the money they're spending on the homelessness problem, and it's gotten worse. When you feed a problem without any without any goal of fixing it, when you feed it, you're gonna get more of it, and that's what's happened. That is a perfect model. Every politician in that state says they're gonna fix homeless problem, and what do? They put more money in it. And when you put more money in it, you get more of it. I think it's time to trash that model and go back to the facilities, go back to the long term mental health facilities. I think that's going to solve the problem. It'll reduce the problem. It may not solve it. There's always going to be people that can't get with the program. Always. But for those people who society has forgotten and overlooks, and when you see one, you divert your eyes the other way or you look down. When you see someone on the street and you ignore that they're there, that should tell you something. Something should be done with that person and give them some dignity because we're not giving them dignity. Oh, it's K Rob in the chat saying the same thing. He's a former state legislator here in the great state of Texas. It's just a horrible problem. And I talk about it a lot. I heard, um, I heard someone just recently, and it may have been President Trump. He said it kind of flippantly. Maybe we ought to bring back the mental health hospitals. I'm not sure. You never know about that president. He says stuff all the time that just comes off the top of his head. He's the most transparent president we've ever had, by the way. He says what he thinks. Sometimes it's not to his benefit, but someone in the administration did say it. I think it was him. But I think that's the only way to get out from around is to go back the way it used to be and do it better because we know it worked because we didn't have the problem we've got now. I never saw a homeless person before the age of 10, 11, 12. Never saw one. And if you did, the community would help them. It's usually someone who was truly down on their luck. If they were crazy, they were in a mental health facility. They talked about it all the time around here when I was a little kid. Oh, they had to go to the hospital. They're going to be there for a while. We had a hospital in Lexington called Eastern State. And they housed at one time, I think, about 500 people. And it was a facility. You get court ordered to be there. You were a ward of the state. If nobody else wanted you, you go there. You get the treatment you needed. You weren't a danger to yourself or anybody else. I don't know why. Well, I know why we got rid of it because these politicians thought it would be, cool, and they were trying to help the people. They're going to help the people. Yeah, there were Western state. There was an Eastern state also. That was a Eastern state. There was an Eastern state in Pennsylvania too, but it wasn't I don't think it was a mental health facility. I think it was a lockup. I think it was a prison. But the Eastern state in Kentucky in Lexington was a mental health facility. Yeah, I think at its peak, it serviced about 500 people. And I just think that there's a big need for that, and I think we could save money. Um, I think a pilot program would be in order. I wished the president or someone in his cabinet would have some foresight and run a pilot program. Just you don't do it wholesale. You have 3 or 4 projects. There you go. Because a lot of times, K Rob in the chat again, you most Most of the homelessness have what they call a dual diagnosis. They have an underlying mental health issue, but they have tried to self-medicate with street substances. So you have someone that has 2 problems. You have a substance use issue and you have a mental health issue. That mental health issue will not clear until you get rid of the substance use problem. When you get rid of the substance use problem, then you focus on the mental health. That is exactly what used to happen. And now we know a whole lot more about substance use and addiction than we did in the '60s. So I'm just I honestly I would love to advocate for that because the data supports it. You can just track the homelessness problem and the mental health crisis with the deinstitutionalization of a lot of these people. I mean, it's a no-brainer. If what you're doing isn't working, it's time to damn change direction. If you're going in the wrong direction, at some point, somebody has to say, "Stop. Let's try something different." And it's the same with the vets. I put the vets in all that situation too. Put them in a place, give them some. No, a lot of them didn't shut down because of that. Some did. That was the impetus for doing the whole thing. If you were listening, you read, do some reading. Some of them were run poorly, like they are. There's bad hospitals. There's bad problem isn't shutting the whole system down. Pick out the bad eggs and let the other ones alone that are doing their job. But we don't do that as a country. It's always whole hog or none. If you ever heard that phrase. Whole So we don't do things that way here. It's either all or nothing. So it wasn't all of them. It wasn't all of them. Because we know now how to treat mental illness and we know how to treat addiction. We know a whole lot more than we did 25 years ago. A whole lot more. The medications have gotten better. The modalities of treatment for substance use and addiction have gotten better. So we know we've only been treating addiction for a little bit, guys. Going a way back machine, 50 years is a long time. We just now have begun to understand what makes addiction happen. And we know more about mental illness than we did, but certainly addiction. So you combine the new modalities and the new medicines, um, and you put back these facilities and give them a way to transition out, and I think you got the problem solved. Thank you, Dave. Dave in the chat is monitoring my calorie intake. Um, I get, um, I get a lot of people in my comments talking about me eating. I burn, um, I burn about 1,000 calories a day. I exercise a lot. I've had 2 kidney transplants. I eat about, my target goal is under 1,600 calories a day. So I have, a lot of people in my social media, and when they look, they always comment how I'm eating. I probably only ate about 300 calories today. Thank you very much. And probably had That's it, Alexandra. We know what worked. It might have not worked as good as we wanted back in the 60s, but it worked to some degree. What we're doing now is not working. There is nobody with a straight face, unless you've got some kind of political affiliation or agenda, or unless you're sucking off the teat of that kind of fundraising. There is nobody who can honestly say with a straight face that we are helping the homeless problem, because we ain't. We're contributing to it. You get more of it because they're giving money. Money is not helping it. Divert the money, divert some of the money that you're giving to these veterans, put them all in a big facilities and specialized care. We can do that. We know how to do that. We need somebody with the balls to do it, to talk about it in a meaningful fashion. I know it's it's kind of trite, but people, you've heard about that definition of insanity. You do the same thing and you keep hoping to get a different result. That's just plumb ignorant. And that's what we're doing. We do that a lot. People do that a lot. They keep thinking it'll work this time. Oh, you see that in relationships. Oh, it'll be better this time. You get in a bad relationship with somebody. Oh, but they said it would be better. And it'll be better. I promise. I'll change my ways. I'll stop carousing. I'll stop drinking. I promise. Please don't kick me out. And it doesn't get better. It's the same. You keep hoping, keep hope alive, but it hardly ever works out that way. I believe I've had enough tea today, guys. Thank you very much. Someone in the chat asked, "Would a life estate also be good to leave your house to to your children?" Betsy or whoever you was in a comment, you gotta listen, honey. I said this before. I'll say it again. When you say children, leave your house to your children. That means more than one. I say no. If you leave a house to more than one child, you're going to set them up to an argument. It's better that they focus on one child if you pick one than to give it to all of them. You are for sure, guaranteed, gonna leave it, gonna leave your family in a big argument. And what you do if you're going to pick a child to give you home to is you have that conversation with your kids. You got more than one kid, you get them together and you say, listen, this is what we're going to do. I know some of you probably ain't going to like it, but this is what we're going to do. And I would say, well, now, Mary, you already got a home. I ain't worried about you, Mary. You're doing well. Jimmy, you're not doing well, and I ain't going to give you my home. Sorry. I'll help you. I'll leave you some money when I pass, but you ain't getting a home. Now, Susie here is young. She's done everything she needs to do. And I don't want you all hating on Susie, but I'm probably going to leave her the home. If you're going to do it that way. Tell them exactly why. Tell them why. You're a full grown ass parent. Get your kids together and have that conversation. That way there's less of an argument. If you don't ever have that conversation when you pass away, you're going to ruin your family. If you have that conversation now, it's going to be good. All my kids know that Anna's going to get our empire here. They all know that Anna's going to get the empire. My blackberry bushes, my fruit tree, she gonna get all this, the house, all the junk in the sheds. They all know that. And they make a joke out of it. They're okay with it because they all got places. So have that conversation. So that's what you do with that. When you say, I want to leave children my home, you are leaving them a fight. No, pick one or pick none. Sell it. Divide the money. Because your kids ain't entitled to you, to your stuff. They're not entitled. Now, if you die without a will, if you pass without a will, yeah, the state will apportion what you have. If you don't have a will or any other direction. Oh, they won't. We've already had that conversation. No, they already have their shit. They already have stuff. No, they won't resent her. I mean, I don't care about that. See, that doesn't bother me. We've already talked about it. They already know. Everybody's fully advised. So, you know, they all got stuff. They got their homes. They do quite well. And so you know, I don't really care. But if you don't have that conversation and you leave a home to children, you're going to start a fight. I promise you. They're going to argue over who's going to pay the taxes. They're going to argue over who's going to do the roof repair. They're going to argue over if you rent it out, who's going to collect the money, who's going to get the money, who's going to pay the taxes. They're going to argue over all that stuff, and they're going to argue all the time because it's not like one time a year that shit happens. Every time something like that happens, they're going to be arguing over each other. Now, I paid last time. No, I paid last time. Don't you remember? And well, what a horrible thing to do to your kids. What a horrible thing. At least if you pick one, they'll get over it. They'll never get over sharing a piece of property. and eventually somebody's going to sue the other ones. And then they're going to get a lawyer. I mean, that happens almost every time. So, nope, not going to do it. Come on, guys. Guys, any more questions, comments? Guys, this is your channel. It is your channel. I've got about 20 minutes, fellas. No one has asked to call in. You can. If you've got a good question, I'll invite you to come in and we'll talk a little bit. It's been really quiet here, guys. Not even many trolls. I do like Tammy Joe in the chat. Thank you, Tammy. I am doing fairly well. I can't complain. I've been on a different exercise regimen, a little diet, another diet. Yeah, well, someone in the comment talked about the Bible. It is full of extreme situations, the Bible is, but life is that way. I don't, I'm not being blasphemous, but I don't consult the scriptures when I do stuff. I do believe in the baby Jesus. I go to church. I try to be good, but I don't consult the Bible when I do something. I try to do what I Oh, thank you very much, Alexandra. I'm going to show you what is a game changer and will change your life. It's something I wear. I have 2 or 3 pair of these. I love them. Now, if you have Alexandra says she has a problem with her earbuds. That's why I could never wear earbuds. They run out all the time, and instead of focusing on my workout, I was trying to keep them daggone things in my ear. Yes. I mean, yeah. I'm not saying I don't believe hopefully you didn't misunderstand me, K-Rob. No, I believe in the Bible. I believe in it, but I'm not a studier of the Bible. I'm not smart enough and I'm not learned enough to cite scripture and refer to scripture whenever I make a decision. But I do contemplate and I do pray before I do things. And I'm not sure why I pray. I'm not sure if I hear anything or not, but it helps me try to reason things out. Nothing has ever really ever spoke to me, but I think it's just the fact that I sit down in my quiet time and I try to get in touch with somebody else that's smarter than me, and eventually I can come to a solution. And a lot of times what will happen is it will tell me, my head will tell me, reach out to some friends that know more. And I rely on big network of friends. Not a big network. I got about 6 friends that I can rely on and people that I can go to. N No, user, you're wrong on that. So, Alexandra, these right here are aftershocks. These are the cheaper ones, less expensive. You can buy some very, very, very expensive, and they hook on the back of your ears, and they don't fall out. They're wonderful. They set right on they're called bone conduction. These right here set you back about $100. They have a battery life of about 10 hours. They're great, great. I've got 3 pair here, these 2. These are my ru these are my, um, running ones. I have different colors. I use these for my social media stuff because the Bluetooth on them is really good. Um, and so the distance that I can travel away from my computer. So I would recommend those. Someone in the God user, boy, user's busting my hiney over here. I do want people to pay to hire me if they have a car wreck. User is telling me the only thing that I pray for is for a big lawsuit. So, no, I don't pray for a big lawsuit. In fact, I don't like lawsuits, but I'll file one if I have to. No, I don't like that. But I do like if people come to me for car wrecks. And by the way, thank you, user, for giving me this opportunity to say that if you do have an automobile accident, I'm your guy. 20% is all I get. 20%. I work your case. If you were injured or you know somebody, that's true. Um, That's a very astute comment. Yeah, I do unless the politics and religion kind of formulating law, and I'm surprised no one has talked about that new law in Tennessee. Groundbreaking law in Tennessee. So to kind of put a bow on that there, user, no, I do like people when they come in. Not only do I do automobile accidents, but I am working, connected to, associated with, however you want to say it, the Mark Lanier Law Firm, and we are now looking for individuals who have been injured and have been injured due to asbestos exposure in the workplace, some any type of asbestos related cancer from the workplace. We'd love to help you. Mr. Lanier is the best trial lawyer in the country, particularly when it comes to asbestos related uh, litigation. Also, silicosis. If you've worked in the coal mine industry, in the oil industry, cement, construction, you've probably been exposed to your fair amount of silicosis. Asbestos related cancers can take up to 40 years to germinate once you've been exposed. Asbestos does not leave your body. So once you've been exposed, it lays, it can be dormant up to 40 years before it causes a problem. So if you've ever worked in the automotive industry, if you've a Navyman, if you've been in the Navy, if you've worked around shipyards, um, construction, particularly in demolition, you could have ingested some asbestos. There was some individuals at the university up here were pulled off of a job after working it was a demolition job for 2 weeks, and they were pulled off the job because they had found out there was asbestos. And those dudes, most of these guys around here and anywhere you work in a small construction site, you won't even wear the proper protection you need. The people on the job don't make sure they don't take extra steps to make sure that their employees are protected. So these guys had went 2 or 3 weeks. And so, I've reached out to a couple of them. I hope they don't get sick. But yeah, to your point there, user, yeah, I do if someone is hurt, I would like them to come to me because I can take care of them. 'em. I'll give them my cell phone number. They can call me at any hour of the night. I don't charge them extra. That's what I do. I don't take a lot of cases, but I appreciate what I get, and I'll take care of you. So, thank you, user, for allowing me to give that commercial. User helped me out today. But I am back to the religious thing. I am a Christian, so I know sometimes I don't act like it, and I do drop the F bomb every now and then. I've just about cut out the GD, which is my wife likes to probably appreciates that. Um, so that's a big say, gosh damn it. Gosh damn it. And I think that's the word I'm going to now. Gosh damn it. They usually have a fund set aside, to pay for injured people. Um, Usually when I said, "Gosh damn it," it was usually followed by one of my kids' names. I'd say I would say, "Gosh damn it, Elizabeth," or "Gosh damn it." I don't know. What's up, Crystal? Alright, guys, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sign off of my YT and my FB program, and I'll be right here on TT, so you all hang out. Guys, listen, fellas, if you're in YT and FB, if life and law collide in your world and you don't know what to do, you can always holler at me. There's a lot of ways you can get hold of me. You can book a call, you can give me a holler, send me an email. If you've got any of those issues, go ahead and send me an email. You know where to find me. Until the next time, guys. Thank you very much.